you sit there and say to yourself, damn, I feel proud of myself?
Yeah.
You do?
I do. I really do. And
that's hard too to do sometimes, right? Isn't it, for us, that to sit there and go like, good job.
I've always been my own worst critic.
Yeah.
And I've been hard on myself my whole life.
Yeah.
It's been a me versus me war with no winners as long as I can remember. And so this stage, when I lost so much, I lost so many favorite institutions, church, marriage, status. These were roles that I played that I attached a lot of identity to and value and worth. I've always hustled for my worth. To have all that just sort of scatter to the winds and be left with kind of the raw material of me, and then rebuild it on my terms with grit and with honesty, without all the fear. 10 out of 10, recommend. And I don't think, and I don't want women to hear that and go, well, damn, I don't want to lose the most precious parts of my story to get there. And I don't think you have to. I think women can live wide awake by choice. No matter, I don't think we have to have crisis to move ourselves into this level of sort of agency, although it works like that a lot.
Yeah, and
that is how life works.
If you are in a relationship or in a job and you decide to become wide awake, and the person you are with doesn't like a wide awake version, kind of deciding to become wide awake is agency and choice, but it might cause some disruption.
That's right.
So
that's right. I would never be so glib as to suggest there's no cost baked in.
Yeah.
There is. But I posit that there's a cost one way or another.
Yeah.
There's a cost to staying asleep. It's just we're going to pay it. And so having paid the toll tax at this point in my life, it is infinitely more joyful to be awake at the wheel, and building the next phase of your life in truth, in honesty, in self-awareness, not making decisions out of shame or fear or self-preservation, all the reasons why we generally stay past the expiration date of any given thing, a job, a place, a relationship, a community.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Tell me just real quickly at the end, what's your relationship? How has your relationship with God evolved, and where do you find it today?
Yeah.
I found that was a big changer for me over the years, not at the end of my marriage, but just through, being raised with one version of God and one version of the church and my experience with it versus what I came to believe my relationship with God was, who I wanted him to be and what I wanted from that relationship. And I think you also have that.
Yeah, I think a lot of us do.
Yeah.
This has been...
And that's one of the bricks.
A big brick.
Yeah. So where does that brick today?
A lot of folks want to talk about when it comes to awake. This, like a spiritual evolution. And at least in my community, this is almost ubiquitous. Most of us are saying, we're asking hard questions of the faith that we were handed as kids.
Yeah.
And all the structures around it. The church around it, the organized religion part of it, the boundaries, the limitations, just all the theology, the doctrines, like all of it.
The patriarchy.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
And the older we get, and we begin experiencing, I know for me, some cognitive dissonance around quite a bit of it.
Yeah.
A big, big chunk of it.
Yeah.
Where I just went, this doesn't feel true anymore. If it ever, not that it ever was, but when I was younger, I just absorbed that air.
Yeah.
And so this sort of deconstruction of the faith that we once had can be reconstructed.
Yeah.
And so I find myself in a really interesting place. And in fact, when I talk about this in the book in one of the little vignettes, I call it untidy, because I find myself in an untidy space when it comes to faith. You know, I was a pastor's daughter, pastor's wife, church planter. So I was a pastor.
Yeah.
And so I was deep in the bag, right? Absolutely churched. I mean,
Yeah.
I went to church 3 times a week as a fetus. And so it's a kind of a big reversal for me. I haven't been to church in the last 5 years in a consistent way, which is very new for me. I mean, I probably had missed 6 Sundays before July 2020. And I noticed that when I went back to church a handful of times, I was just so triggered. I was so anxious. I was cynical and skeptical and like on pins and needles the whole time, just wanting to crawl out of my skin. And I thought, well, I mean, I'm no theologian, but I don't think that's how church is supposed to feel. So I haven't been back yet. But that is different. Organized religion and church is different than faith.
Right.
Those are 2 different streams. And so I still find so much like love and comfort in God. I still feel, it's interesting, I mentioned this a minute ago, but I lost what I thought were his 2 favorite institutions, church and marriage. And I still, here I am, right in front of you, feeling like very cherished.
By God.
By God.
Yeah.
Very protected, this is a great way to put it. I included this too. Dr. Dallas Willard, I don't know if you ever knew his work. He was just a very beloved theologian and professor. I read an interview with him one time where the interviewer said, Dr. Willard, if you could describe Jesus and you could just use one word, what would you pick? And he said, relaxed. And I was like, what? I have never experienced God as relaxed in my life.
Yeah.
Like God to me felt scary, stern, arbitrary, punitive.
Punitive. Yeah.
Relaxed. I was shook by that sense of his faith. But I can tell you now, 5 years later, where church for me is CBS Sunday mornings with Jane and my porch swing, my kids for brunch, coffee, I feel with God relaxed.
I bet he's at that table.
I think he's at that table.
He's at the table.
I think he always was at that table.
Yeah.
And he was like, you can meet me at church, but also not.
Yeah.
That's not his home.
Yeah.
Like, God will be found. There's a million paths.
In your home.
There's a million paths to discover, like, the love of a creator and the universe. Church is one. And for people who still find that really meaningful, wonderful. This is, again, not prescriptive.
Yeah.
Church was so meaningful to me for 4 decades. And so this is not me disparaging the space. It's just going, that's not where I find the most relaxed version of my relationship with God right now. I'm not saying I'll never go back, and I'm not saying I'll ever go back. I don't know. Untidy.
Amen. Right. This is called Above the Noise, Life Above the Noise.
Great.
And so many people struggle with all the noise today, the chaos. How do I find my thoughts? How do I even know if I'm asleep or I'm awake? Do you have anything that you do ritually or to help you get above the noise or get below the noise?
Oh boy, what a great question. It is bonkers right now, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's a wonder we can hear our own voice in our head.
Yeah.
One of the biggest obstacles for me to hear my own inner wisdom, to hear any sort of divine wisdom, is too many voices in my head. And so this is not a monumental thing to say. This is not revelatory or groundbreaking, but I deeply had to put a governor on how much social input I was taking.
Yeah.
I haven't watched the news in almost 1 year in a regular way. I used to wake up with coffee and news. And I just found that starting my day absolutely triggered.
Yeah.
Wasn't serving me or my work or my relationships. And so I am very careful with my input, where I get my news from, who and how. And I also changed my social media diet, who I was following, even people that I was ideologically aligned with. The daily outrage I found was just too disruptive for any sort of peace. And I was just like like my pin in a grenade all the time, just walking around. And so For me, it has been this quieting, lessening, thinning out of my input. And I'm like, oh, when I can quiet that a little bit, I'm like, oh, here's real life. Here it is, all around me. Here's my neighbors. Here's here are my pecan trees. This feels more relaxed. And it's not that, you know.
You have pecan trees?
I have 12.
You have 12 pecan trees?
They're so beautiful. You know, and Tim, your brother, has taught me about, we can stay still very active. We must.
Yes.
I would never abdicate for like throwing in the towel or just shutting our eyes, closing the door. But we can do it with regulated nervous systems.
Amen.
We can do it with common tables. We can do it across from somebody instead of on a keyboard. And I have found that all to be so much more meaningful and productive and useful and helpful. And so I've tried to unplug from the outrage machine. I occasionally, it catches me by the ankle occasionally. I'll admit it. Sometimes I have to apologize.